Hola, espero que estén bien. Hoy vamos a ver lo que es el tema de Past Perfect para estos videos de clases de inglés de noveno año. Entonces, empecemos. The past perfect tense is used when we're talking about a past action that happened before another past action. This tense is useful when we're showing a sequence of events and we need to specify the order of these events. For example, we have I had gone out by the time you called. She has studied German before visiting Germany. She had eaten a burger before her stomach started hurting, and they had visited the store before it closed. Now, to make the sentences, this is what we should do. Let's start with the affirmative as usual. To make the affirmative, what we have to do is just take the subject, add the word had, and then finish with the past participle. Subject plus had plus past participle of the verb. For example, we have she had woken up with a headache and they had gone out. Negative, same thing. The negative form is very similar, but what we do is just add the word not in between the had and the past participle. So it is subject plus had plus not plus past participle. For example, he had eaten all the food and she had watched the movie before me. Let's take this sentence to explain a little bit further, okay? So we have two actions. What are the actions in this sentence? This girl watched the movie, and then me, I watched the movie. What we do here is that we use this tense to explain or to tell the action that happened first. So, what happened first? The girl watched the movie. The girl watched it first, and then I watched it. Okay, so she had watched the movie before me. This is what these tenses help us do. Now, for the questions, as usual, we change things a little bit. We start with the word had, then we add the subject, and then lastly, the past participle. Had you seen that movie then? And negative question is the same as the other question. We just add the word not in between the subject and the past participle. So it is had plus subject plus not plus past participle. And that makes an example like this. Had you finished homework by then? Now, what are the differences between these tenses? There are a few that are called very similar or that the formulas and the words they use are very similar, but they are different. So, for example, what's the difference between present perfect and past perfect? So, both of these are used when we're talking about things that happen in the past, right? Past actions. But the present perfect is used more when it's an action that started in the past that affects the present or is still ongoing. That's the key idea, the key thing in present perfect. It's a past action that started in the past, but it's either still happening, hasn't ended, or it has ended, but it has a very strong impact in the present. Meanwhile, the past perfect is used to describe an action that happened in the past and that happened before another past action. So the key here is that this describes a sequence of events. There's several events. There's at least two different actions. For example, this sentence says, I have worked until 9 p.m. for the past week. So this one is just indicating that this person worked until late several days a week. So this is not necessarily currently happening, meaning this person is not necessarily working right now. So it happened in the past. but it's something that continues happening and that will probably happen in the future. So it's something that affects the present, and that's what we use present perfect. The next sentence goes, I had been working when I noticed it was 9 p.m. So, what happens here? There's two actions. The person was working, this is what's happening first, and then they looked at the time and they realized that it was really late. There's two actions, the working and the noticing. And this is what makes past perfect. There's one action that happened first and then the other. Now, another tense that's very similar and that can be very commonly confused is the simple past. So, what is the difference between simple past and past perfect? Again, both of these are used for the past, of course, but simple present is used for actions that are completed in the past, things that happened in the past that began and ended. As the word says, just very simple. Anything that happened in the past, simple past. But the past perfect, once again, is used to explain a series of actions in the past, one after the other. So you can see something very common and very interesting is that there are a lot of sentences that will have both of this. Sometimes, when we want to make a sentence in the past perfect, right, we have two actions. We use one action with past perfect, and very commonly, we will use the other action with simple past. Let's see two examples. So we have a simple past example. I went running yesterday. This is just indicating that the person went running. That's all. You could say, I ate, I don't know, I ate a sandwich yesterday. I walked home yesterday. I studied yesterday. Anything that is just the past, right? These things already happened. Then we have, I had been running when you called me yesterday. So this is different. Why? Because this person was running and then they got called. They got a call, right? So there's two actions, one happened and then the other. Another very important thing to keep in mind when we're making sentences with this tense is that the order of the sentence can change. Now, as you can see, a lot of the time the sentence is made up of two different clauses, and this is to differentiate the two actions, right? I had been sleeping when you woke me up, right? Had been sleeping is one clause, and then you woke me up is another clause. There's two different clauses. What's the thing here? We can change the order of those two clauses sometimes, and it does not change the meaning. And how do we know that, or why the meaning doesn't change? It's because the past perfect always indicates the first action that happened. So it doesn't matter if it goes at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. If it's past perfect, then this was the first action. For example, when you called, I had left. So when this person called, the other person had already left the place. So what happened first? The person left, and then this other person called. However, in this sentence, the first action is at the beginning of the sentence. But how do we know that that's what happened first? Because it has the word had and then the past participle. We know this is the past perfect. And you can see how the sentence can be changed. I had left when you called. Same thing. You can read here that what happened first, this person left, then the other called. You see, we can interchange the order, but the meaning does not change. Now, lastly, let's review some more examples of this tense. I had woken up when the alarm rang. Had you visited New York before you moved here? She had gone out when you came. The mosquito had already bit me when I managed to kill it. He was very tired because he hadn't slept at all. When I woke up, I had been dreaming of something weird. Y eso sería todo por hoy y nos vemos en la próxima clase. Hasta luego.